two of the dirtiest mouth people. Thelma was a good person. Grew up out Stockwell, knowing her, you know. She was a good person, hard worker, had been in the service and all this stuff. And her and husband would go out and drink, and he'd give her a black eye, and she'd come to work the next day with a black eye, you know, and all that stuff. And she had been Marine. That's what's so funny. But anyway, all of a sudden, she turned religious. Just bang. I mean, she just went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So then out at work, when she would work with people, she was the group leader when I started, and she's the one that taught me my job. And she would talk about religion and you know, and tell you this and tell you that. And I just, I didn't argue with her or nothing. If I agreed, fine. If I didn't, I didn't. And then as we grew to a bigger department, she went up and told them that she thought they should make me a group leader and not her.
Right.
They said, well, Thelma, why? She said, well, because she knows about the department now, like I've taught her. And she said the people go to her now.
Yeah.
They don't come to me because they don't like me. So she said they go to Ask Dorothy anyway. So she said you might as well make her the group leader. So they gave her a job in the lab, and they made her the group leader. And but I went and asked her first, you know, if that was all right, and if it would cause any hard feelings between the two of us. And she said no, I suggested it. So anyway, when she worked around people, she would urge them to come out to church with her.
Yeah.
And she would tell them, you ought to come to church with me, I'll come pick you up, and so forth and so on. And they would come to me and they'd say, will you please tell Thelma to stop talking to us about religion and trying to get us to go and everything like that, you know. So one time I did. I said, well, all right, I'll talk to her. So I told her, I said, Thelma, they want me to tell you to please stop asking them to go to church with you, and to please stop talking about religion when they're working with you, you know. And she said, well, I didn't know it bothered them. She said they should have told me. But anyway, I said to her, you know, you found religion when you felt like you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And you started going to church when you felt like you wanted to. And I said, I believe there's a God. And when I feel like I want to go to church, I will go.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to tell me it's my place to do it, you know.
Right.
I said, when you went to church, you did. And when I decide I want to go to church, I will.
Yeah.
And there was no more about it between us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
From that time on, she never brought it up or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
She just needed to be told. But it was so funny. She said, well, I didn't know it bothered them. They never said anything. But she was a really nice person, and she still is. She's still alive. I don't know exactly how old Thelma is. She never would tell me how old she was.
What's her last name?
Morgan.
Thelma Morgan.
It was before she was married. It was Brooks, and her family came from Stockwell. And she had, see this line down the middle of my nose?
Mm-hmm.
She had the same nose.
Really?
Same line down her nose.
That's funny.
And she said one of our dads was out running around. And she probably has more history on, she was a smart woman, Thelma was. She probably has more history on my family, my Gross family, than I do. Because she was looking for a history on her family, the Brooks family. And in the meantime, by doing that, she picked up parts of our family, you know, that was intermingled in Stockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one time, Stockwell was half. I've told you this before, too, I think. Stockwell was just about half of my relation, you know.
Yeah.
Lived here, lived there, lived here and there. Aunts, uncles, cousins. And Thelma's still living. I'm not sure, but I think she's probably at least 4 to 6 years older than I am. And she went through breast cancer operations and everything.
Wow.
But she wrote a book. I had it published, and I've got it in there someplace. Tuck would probably know exactly where it's at because he put stuff away in that middle room. But I've got a book in there on Stockwell and her relation and my relation, and everything's mentioned in it. Different people from Stockwell. It's an interesting book. It's got a picture of my mother and dad and their wedding picture in it. Shows where they were married in Stockwell.
right now come together over IHOP's new fruit and streusel crepes.
But she was a person that, like, if she had something to say to you, she would say it to you.
Yeah.
You know, she would say it to your face. She never went behind your back and said anything, you know, and told anything or nothing. She was a good person. She was a smart woman. She was a big, she wasn't fat. She was a big woman. And she had worked, like I said, she had been a Lady Marine, and in her uniform, she was quite striking looking, you know, in her Marine uniform. And then after she got out of the service, she went to work for a parcel post that had these trucks that went to the railroad depot and picked up stuff and took them down. She said she could pick up packages along with the men, you know, see what they did. And out of work, that's why the kids that came in, mostly what came in to work for us was young boys.
Right.
After high school or age or college age and needed extra jobs. And because they didn't really pay that much out there. And she could outwork the guys that came in there, and they didn't like her. And she made a show of doing it too. I mean, she showed him that she could outwork him, you know.
Yeah.
Guy only you believe in.
Crazy.
1 week fantasy football on DraftKings. He can be the
But
difference.
she used to tease me a lot because she could work equally as well with either hand.
Yeah.
And I had to do things a certain way. I was right-handed. I had to do my things right-handed.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we'd work on the same table, she'd make me work on the wrong side of the table, you know. just you know, for fun.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to do it that way. I said, I can't make my left hand work like my right hand does. And I had told her one time, I said, you know, I can get madder at you than anybody that I can think of. And she said, well, why? I said, because you're always right. And it was true.
Yeah.
If we get an argument about something, invariably I'd find out she was right. It just aggravated the heck out of me because I said, you're always right. It just really irritates me. She's the one, you probably heard your dad talk about that dog that talked.
Yeah.
It was her house we were at that day.
Oh, really?
We went to Stockholm, stopped to see her. And I will swear to you, to my dying day, that dog said, I love you. And it was one of the most astounding things I've ever seen. But the girl that trained him, there was something wrong with her. She was a little bit, she wasn't crazy, but she's slow, or what you know call nice person. She lived there with Selma. And she put a dog biscuit right on that dog's nose, like, or on top of his nose, you know, like that. And she'd say, now don't you eat that. And the dog would sit there and she'd move around, and that dog would watch her, his eyes would follow her, watching her around every place she went. And that dog would not touch that cookie until she would say, okay, now you can have it. And that dog would flip that cookie up and boy, munch that cookie, just cutest thing. And she took him clear a block down the street so we could see. And she said, now you stay right there. And she walked back to us, sit down on the porch and talk to us and everything like that. And that dog sat right there just waiting for her to, you know. So pretty soon she walked out and she said, come on, you can come now. The dog just ran up there so quick. Never saw anything like that dog. It's actually all of us sitting right there. Heard that dog say, I love you. I mean, not plain like I did, but it said it. It was so funny. I thought Tuck was going to crack up. Even Skip was sitting there. He saw it too. He saw this squirrel running across the yard over by us, you know. He said, oh, look, there. I don't know what it was. It's either a chipmunk or a chimpanzee. He didn't know what it was. It's either a chipmunk or a chimpanzee. So funny.